The first international break of the season is here, and Manchester City have won all three of their opening games, scoring 9 goals and only conceding twice. And the Blues have done all of this without Phil Foden and Rodri, their two best players from last season's title win, being available to the squad. So Manchester City and Pep Guardiola are going to make it 5 Premier League title wins in a row, well and truly turning the Premier League into a Farmers League like Ligue 1, or are they going to be stopped? Because I've seen a lot of people already write off this season, saying that Manchester City should be given the title only 3 game weeks in. So are Manchester City just some great unstoppable winning and maybe even a cheating machine? Well, let's find out. A lot of this talk around City being unstoppable has come after their 3-1 win at the London Stadium on Saturday, where Erling Haaland got his second hat-trick in 2 weeks, scoring a hat-trick against Ipswich last week and then scoring another one this week against West Ham, taking his tally for the season to 7 in just 3 games, which is remarkable even for the Norwegian standards. And with Haaland looking absolutely unstoppable up top and being every Premier League defender's worst nightmare, are City unstoppable? Because it's not just Haaland that is in exceptional form. You've got Kovacic, who looks like a completely new player this season, with him playing a lot more disciplined role in that 6th position and even attempting a lot more forward passes, which you really wouldn't have seen from him last season. You've got Rico Lewis, who looks like a nailed-on starter, who looks to probably be one of the best players this season if he continues at this rate at just 19 years old, or he might even be 20 by now, but 19 or 20 years old. He's a remarkable talent to displace Kyle Walker, who has literally so much of a reputation that it's really, really hard to drop him, even when he's not in good form. So you've got players like Lewis looking exceptional. Gvardiol looks good. You've got Kovacic, who looks like a completely new player. Savio looks like an absolute revelation on that right side when he's played, right? City look really good. And obviously their first game against Chelsea, it was a very disjointed Chelsea team that are really just trying to gel after a big summer of obviously bringing in a new manager and bringing in a lot of new players, right? It was a comfortable 2-0 win for City, with them looking shaky at times, right? And then you move on to the second game week, where it's against Ipswich, where they go 1-0 down at home, shockingly, after a awful goalkeeping from Ederson, but quickly score like 3 goals in something like 6 minutes to go 3-1 up, win the game 4-1. Erling Haaland does Erling Haaland things and scores a hat-trick. But that's a disjointed Chelsea team, and that's a newly promoted Ipswich team, right? The real first challenge would come at the London Stadium, where West Ham, who have had a very impressive summer window and look to be a very, very good team, especially with their performance against Crystal Palace the week before, because I definitely did think they were very unlucky to lose against Villa on the opening day, and that was 2 very, very good squads going head to head. So whichever team won that game was definitely, well, whichever team lost that game would definitely be hard done by, and their season shouldn't be written off losing on the opening day. But yeah, they were impressive against Palace, and they were very impressive against City. I have to say, obviously, Bowen forced an own goal for Diaz to get level after West Ham kind of gifted City their first goal. But they looked really good on the counter-attack. Antonio, Bowen, Kudus, and Paqueta all causing City issues going forward on the counter-attack. And Kudus was very unlucky not to score to level the game at 2-2. Even when Somerville came on, he had a very good chance, which forced an exceptional save from Ederson. And when I made a video about West Ham and their team looking scary a few weeks ago, I wasn't lying. Like, they look really good. Even Kilman at the back looks so composed on the ball. Wan-Bissaka looks like a completely new player and has really looked to be reviving his career after a spell at United. Even going forward, he just looks unstoppable. Like, there were a few times where he was just charging forward like a freight train and no City player could get the ball off him. So West Ham were not a bad team on the day by any means. They looked exceptional. They looked really good. And I do think, like I said in that video a few weeks ago, I think they will be pushing for the European places. They looked really good. West Ham fans, let me know down below what you thought of your performance on the weekend. But it doesn't matter how good West Ham played, because City and especially Erling Haaland were on another level. His first goal, again, like I said, was probably gifted to them with Emerson playing a poor pass to Paquetá. Bernardo doing very well and doing Bernardo things, dispossessing Paquetá, slotting the ball through to Haaland. Haaland slots it past Areola. It's 1-0. Obviously, Bowen with a great run down the right forces an own goal from Diaz. He probably could have done better. He probably could have even left the ball. Akanji probably should have shouted for him to leave the ball because there was no one behind him no one in claret and blue behind him to tap it home. But Diaz gets a foot on it, puts it past Ederson. It's game on, really. But, Rico Lewis picks up the ball after some really good interpassing play from Bernardo Silva, Grealish and Kovacic. Picks up the ball, finds Haaland, who takes one touch to set it and rifles it into the near post top corner. Absolutely unstoppable shot. And reminds me a lot of his second goal against Burnley on the opening day of last season, if you remember that goal. Exceptional finish, really, really good finish. And obviously he wasn't done there. Mateus Nunes off the bench, who again looks to be an important player for City this season, with Pep saying that he's going to have an impact on the squad. Picks up the ball, plays a beautiful pass through to Haaland, who runs through on goal, locks eyes with Fabianski and just dinks the ball over him and makes it 3-1, puts the game to bed and gets his 7th goal of the season. And I think that's his 70th Premier League goal in 69 games for the Norwegian. It is exceptional going for him. And, all you can say is, well, when it comes to describing Haaland. And again, like I said at the start, this is even without Foden, who was the Premier League player of the season and PFA player of the season last season, and Rodri, who is probably the best player in the world right now. And that's the one thing I've noticed. We don't look so reliant on Kevin and Rodri this season. I can't talk for if we're relying on Erling because we haven't seen how we play without him, and obviously he's been the main man this season because scoring 7 goals in 3 games is exceptional going. But we don't look as reliant on Rodri as we did last season. Again, West Ham and Chelsea, they're very difficult games. Games in which sometimes you can be dragged into a basketball game like we did last season. Even with Rodri on the pitch against Chelsea, we were dragged into basketball games where it was end to end, and one of them was high scoring. Both of them ended a draw. Funnily enough, with Rodri scoring in both. But we look to be able to control the game a lot better without Rodri now, and our midfielders look a lot more comfortable playing football without him there. And I think that's because Kovacic has become a lot more comfortable in that holding midfield position, which is very good. And obviously you've got Gundogan back, that adds a lot of stability there, which I've mentioned before in previous videos. But City just look a lot more comfortable on the ball. They look a lot more fluid in attack, creating chances, with Rico Lewis being a lot better on the ball then. Kyle Walker being able to operate in the middle of the park but also go up the flanks, and he's a lot better at creating chances, which again increases the output of the attackers, because for creating more chances means you're more likely to score a goal. And when you're creating chances for Erling Haaland, you're bound to score goals. So yes, City look really good. And with Pep even saying that pre-season is now over, and saying that these first 3 games of the season, well, 4 games of the season because that was the Community Shield as well, saying that the pre-season is now over and the real season starts after international break, when Foden and Rodri will both be available to the squad, with I think Oscar Bob being the only player that will be missing due to injury, which is impressive to have a fully fit squad. Hoping, touch wood, that nothing bad happens to any of our players over the international break. And with Pep Guardiola saying that, it probably does shake fear into a lot of the rest of the teams in the league, with City already looking very good, and with Pep saying that this is just pre-season, things could get a lot better for City and a lot worse for the rest of the teams in the league. But I think it's very stupid and ludicrous for people to write off other teams challenging for the league. Obviously, Arsenal dropped points due to some questionable refereeing against Brighton, but Arsenal are a good team, well drilled defensively, very, very good defensively, despite conceding a very soft goal against Brighton to level the game at 1-1. Liverpool have also got a 100% record this season, and they haven't even conceded a goal yet. And they've had to play teams like informed Brentford and obviously fierce rivals Man United. And, Man United aren't great, but, it's still a difficult fixture to go to Old Trafford nonetheless. They go to Old Trafford, they win 3-0. They win 2-0 away at Ipswich. And again, I think they won 2-0 at Anfield against Brentford. They look to be a very good team, with Arne Slot getting Luis Diaz back to full form and Mo Salah again operating at the high level which he always does. So, Liverpool look good with their 100% record. Arsenal are still going to be up there despite the fact that they dropped points. Brighton have been exceptional this season, especially João Pedro. When I watch Brighton, I think they've been so good, and João Pedro has been the standout in their team when I watch them play. I think Brentford have been good, especially when I watched them against Palace. And again, I thought they were, obviously they were beaten by Liverpool. But again, it's not the end of the world if you get beaten by Liverpool, by Arsenal, or by City in the Premier League. So I think Brentford have been good. Obviously, they beat Southampton, which it's not exactly difficult to do, unless it's the Carabao Cup against Nathan Jones, but the less said about that, the better. I think they look dangerous. Again, I'm not saying they're going to compete for the title, but I'm just listing a bunch of teams that are dangerous, that can easily cause a slip-up from City. You've even got Villa in there, Newcastle. You've got good sides in this Premier League that can cause City problems, right? It's not going to be as smooth sailing as people have painted out to be, as much as I wish that was the case. But, it is very disingenuous to say that the league is over already. And it's, again, people just being hyperbolic and looking for engagement on social media. I think there are plenty of good teams in this league that can cause us problems, and we just luckily haven't faced them yet. Other than West Ham, who I think are very good, and I think that was our best performance of the season so far. So, there are a lot of good teams in this league, and I think it is a very hugely disrespectful to them to say that the league is already over. Again, I do wish the league was already over. I would want to see us win the league again. But at the same time, there's part of me that thinks it would be bad for football if we won the league again. So, I obviously want us to win the league, but at the same time, I don't think it's good for football if we win the league. But I could not say that I wouldn't want us to win the league, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. Let me know down below. But yeah, there are plenty of good teams in this league. So as much as I think we are going to be exceptional this season, and we're going to be probably at our best, with Haaland looking unstoppable, Savio looking like a great player, our defence looks decent despite both the goals we've conceded in this season being very soft, right? I think we look good, and I think we look the best that we have at the start of the season in recent years. I don't think we've looked this good at the start of a season in quite a while. So, I do think we're going to be very, very good this season, but I also think that we will be, if we do win this title, we will be pushed all the way. And I don't think we're nailed on winners for this title. I think there definitely could be a potential Liverpool title win or an Arsenal title win again. But obviously, I will back City all the way. And, the mentality of some of our players, obviously Haaland saying that some of the people that were interviewing him on Sky Sports have 6 Premier League titles, so he still has a lot of work to do. I think the mentality of our players is a level above the other teams in the league, and I do think that is really what sets us apart. You can have all the talent, all the raw natural talent, footballing ability in the world, but if you're not a winner up here, you're not going to be a winner on the pitch. And that is really the harsh truth of it. But again, let me know down below if you think that City are unstoppable, and that the league is boring, and that the league is a write-off, and that before every game week, it's going to be a City 3 points and Haaland 3 goals. Or if you think that this league is going to be more competitive than ever, and you can't judge the league off just 3 games, because you can't. I remember in Pep's first season, we looked quality in our first few games of the season, and bam, our form fell off a cliff, and I think we finished 3rd, right? Anything can happen in the remaining games. We're literally 3 games into a 38 game season. Anything can happen. So there's no point being negative and writing off your teams and saying, well, what can you do against City? Because, you know, that nothing good comes from that. You have to believe in your team, like, through thick and thin, and, you know, just have some hope and some optimism. And again, it is the hope that kills you, but what's the point in supporting football and following football if you're not going to believe in your team? As delusional as that belief may be, you've got to believe in your team, right? Or else what's the point in supporting them? But yeah, with all that being said, please do like the video if you enjoyed, and comment down below your thoughts on City's performance over the weekend and who you think is going to win the title and where you think City are going to have problems this season. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, especially if my videos keep coming up in your browsing tab, because you know, a lot of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and you know, your support really does help out the channel. So if you watch these videos a lot, seem to enjoy my content, please do subscribe. It literally just takes 2 seconds out of your day, and it's not an inconvenience to you, and it just helps me a lot. And also check out the rest of the videos on the channel if this is the first video of mine you're watching. But with all that being said, I've been Nathan. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Shut down cases, they belly dots to the can't see faces, chasing the bad guy chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like GTA trying to turn them out wasted. Aye, tell a bad bitch come break it, body come mad, come shake it, then get back to the basics, bro done shut down cases, they belly dots to the